Welcome to the Hansen Brothers podcast. I'm Timmy and joined by my brother Kevin. We are teammates and world champions in rallycross. This podcast is our space to catch up while traveling the motorsport world. Hello, Kevin. How is life in Miami?
Life in Miami is nice because it's 25 degrees still, and it's yesterday was really sunny, and today a little bit of dark clouds. But I mean, who am I to complain? I am tired because I'm waking up at like 4:30 in the morning to start working in like European time zone, and I just feel like my eyes will fall any second now. So you have to say some exciting things this episode.
Well, okay, so here is afternoon, and I just got off the bike. That's why I'm in training t-shirt. Did a training session. It's been kind of a hectic day, trying to prepare because I thought we'll talk about that also today. I'm going to E1 in Jeddah. So when this episode releases, I'm on the flight. I'm going to the first race of season 2 there with Team Brazil again, and I'll be having Brazil. I don't know how many times like fans have come up to me and spoken Portuguese.
Oh,
but
really?
Like, sorry, yeah, no one in the team speaks Portuguese.
Oh. Does Joseph speak it? I felt like he was a little bit Brazilian or Portuguese vibe.
No. Actually, there's one in the team, Isabel. She speaks Portuguese. She is from Brazil. But the team is backed by Marcelo Claur, who's running a massive environmental fund over in Brazil. So he wants to promote that, and that's why we're racing under their banner, and of course, like racing for the country there. And we have a lot of Brazilian fans, so that's really cool.
That's good. Yeah, I mean, it's E1 is always it's different, isn't it? Like you're the original participant there. It's racing on water, something our family has never done. I mean, if we have gone out on the water in the past with our father's boat, we've hit shallow stones and stuff and destroyed the propeller. There's not any room for that errors in the E1 race, is it?
No, my boating background was exactly what you say now, like taking dad's boat out from the house, but there's so many rocks and it's kind of shallow, so you have to know exactly where you're going not to hit the rock, and we have hit the rocks kind of a few times, haven't we?
Many times.
Yeah, it's a funny thing how I got into it. It's officially it's called the E1, the UIM E1 World Championship. So it's like
it is a world championship.
Yeah, it's the like UIM is the equivalent of FIA.
Yeah,
and they're governing the series, and it's like when Formula E started, I guess. And yeah, so it is like if you win it, you become UIM World Champion, which is kind of cool.
That's cool. Yeah, can you do that, please?
Yeah, I'm gonna try. I'm gonna try.
Good.
So
I think it will be kind of nice in the workshop.
It's the first ever electric powerboat championship with foil. So it's also the first championship that uses foiling boats with a motor. So I think a lot of people have seen foiling boats in America's Cup, but they use sails, and then it's kind of different. But actually sitting in a powerboat, surprisingly similar to sitting in a race car, actually.
Yeah, you have like a race seat and belts and race suit like normal, helmet and a steering wheel and throttle and pedal. But that was the most interesting, because when you came back from like the first test, you said all the controls, and there's like new features that you can play with that we're not used to in the race car, right?
Yeah, so like it's familiar in the way that you have the steering wheel with the pedals behind it, but there's no shifting. And down on your feet, like we went from 3 pedals when we used the combustion engine rallycross cars to down to 2 pedals using the electric, and now in the boat I'm down to 1 pedal. It's only a throttle.
Of course, you don't need to brake.
Oh, there is no brake on water.
It's just the friction from the water when you want to slow down.
Yeah, and that is actually massive. So you try to avoid that as much as you can, and that's where these controls come in. So because we have the big foils under the boat, you want to fly the boat on. It's like an airplane actually on the wings. So you're using the foils of the boat to fly you up and actually get the boat out of the water, and that's when you really pick up speed. when you're losing the drag of the water and you're just kind of flying free. And to fly the boat up or down, you have the controls behind the wheel to steer if you fly higher or lower. And the other one is lifting the motor up or down, in or out through the water. But the main one is the trim.
So the engine in the rear just goes lowering or up if you want
Exactly.
to adjust that, and then you can adjust also the angle, right?
Exactly. So the angle is the trim, and when the boat is sitting like in the paddock, then you see the motor moving in and out. But actually, in practice in the water, it's the boat that's moving. So the propeller is kind of standing still. And when you're trimming out, what happens is that the boat nose raises higher or lower, and that's how you steer. So when you have low speed, you want to kind of drive the boat up out of the water.
Yeah.
But then when the hull stops touching the water and you're just flying, then you want to kind of keep the boat in the water, because if you fly too high, you have nothing left in the water and then you crash back down.
Well, what is hulls?
Hull is like the bottom of the boat, makes it float.
Okay, so it's the bottom of the boat.
Yeah.
Okay, so the bottom of the boat, you obviously don't want that to touch, but is it very, very narrow? Can you go out of the water on the forwards without touching the bottom of the boat?
Yeah, so when you're flying properly, it gets very silent inside the boat. Like it's kind of violent, and you hear the waves smashing against the bottom of the boat or the hull, until you fly it high enough and the boat's actually completely out of the water, and then it just kind of gets silent, and that's when you know it's going really well. But the tricky part of that is that the boat also gets very nervous at that point. So if you fly it too high and you have not enough foils touching the water, you have no grip, essentially. And you need the grip to turn, you need the grip to keep you flying. And the tricky thing is that the higher you fly, the less boat in the water, the faster you go on the straight. But the higher you fly at one point, the more unstable the boat gets.
Yeah, and the more risk it is for it to, I guess, lose contact and crash down and lose a lot of speed.
Yeah, exactly.
So, but why would the boat racer choose a racing driver? Because it's a new series to, I think, all of our fans, really.
Yeah, and the way I got into it is because it's Alejandro Agag, who's a co-founder of E1, who's also founded Formula E and Extreme E. So because I was an Extreme E driver, then they were looking for pilots outside of boat racing, because in the boat racing world, they were like very unsure about who is going to be fast in this kind of boat, because there is no such thing as a foiling powerboat. And they all knew that the driving style would be so different. So I got to come and test the boat along with other motorsport drivers, but also like a BMX rider, like athletes from all disciplines. And it went really well there. But then very quickly, like getting into actually driving the boat, I realized that it wasn't so simple. And it was very different from driving cars.
The limit, you don't have a tire that's your limit anymore. That must be that's the defining thing of driving a race car. There's always a tire, no matter what, that defines the grip. Is grip a thing? I don't know.
It is a thing, because like if you fly the boat really high, you can understeer. You can't really oversteer, I think. No, you can't oversteer, but in this boat, but you can understeer. So if the rear propeller doesn't really grip,
sounds like the dream for me.
Yeah,
I hate oversteer.
But you can. So it's all like, to even start talking in these terms is wrong, because like in a car, you try to do the corner as good as possible. And the whole challenge is in the corner, and the straight, you kind of relax and shift through the gears. In a boat, it's the complete opposite. The turn's kind of easy, whereas you just kind of go along with the corner. And on the straight is where you have to work a lot. Like then that's where you have the pedals. That's where you try to go on the limit. That's where you try and squeeze out a few more kilometers per hour on the straight than your competitors without crashing down and stalling the boat. So it's like, even going fast is in the boat on the straights, and in the car in the corners. So like so fundamentally different. And also you're not driving so much left right in a boat. You're more focused on what happens up and down, trimming in or out.
It sounds a bit more like nitrocross, where you focusing on how much you're jumping and stuff.
So it was me and Katie last season.
Yeah.
And the performance engineer had no boat racing experience. The team manager had no boat racing experience. The mechanics were new to boat racing. So like none of us had a single clue about what you'd have to do in the water. And one thing I discovered is that there is no setup on a boat. You can't change springs. You can't change roll bar. You can't.
That the best thing in the world, changing a bit of springs, a bit of roll bar.
I know. But there is no wheel. What do you change? Well, actually, like I'm oversimplifying because like, okay, there is still like center of mass and weight balance of the boat.
So you can move weight forward or side to side and stuff.
Yeah, a little bit. It's still a single make series, but like, yeah, you can move some weight. And you can sand the foils, like how the water, because water is 7 times more dense than air. It means that, like, compared to wing through air, the wing through water is so much more sensitive. So you can
almost say you have 7 times more drag.
Kind of, yeah, exactly. And also 7 times more lift for what's happening, like 7 times the density. And so we work a lot with sandpaper on the foils, and you have to take a very fine sandpaper and drag it along the direction of the water in kind of stripes so that the water separates or doesn't separate in the correct way as it flows over the foil. And the sandpaper is like 1200, I think, or something like that. So it's extremely fine. Like you don't see it with your eyes, you barely feel it with your hand, but like it makes a huge difference on how the boat is acting.
Wow. So you can move mass, you can sandpaper your foils.
Yeah.
You can change propeller.
And you can change propeller. And that's kind of the holy grail in boat racing, propellers.
Or you can go bigger or smaller, like a sprocket on a go-kart.
Exactly. So you can have higher top speed or
does it do the same thing?
Better acceleration.
A big propeller is like good acceleration, but bad top speed.
Yeah, but also then like changing from one propeller to the other is like completely changing the setup of a car. Like if you change a lot of things, that's what it feels like when you put a different propeller on. You have to drive the boat different depending on which propeller you have. And we have 3 propellers to choose from, actually 4 this season. But in proper boat racing, they have 50 propellers to choose from. There is free. You just put whatever propeller you want. And the science behind it is incredible. There was one American guy that I had a long chat with who was such a legend. But like you could tell, like propellers was his life. And like he said, like the propeller have a soul, and like you have to treat it like this, and you have to think about it in this way. And like he knew everything about propellers, and it was very like I respect him a lot because of his knowledge, and it was very interesting to talk to him. But it's like he lived for propellers.
I love those people. It's a bit like oval racing. You're like we're turning left, but damn, we're gonna turn left real well, man.
Exactly that. Exactly.
It's simplified. But really, really, really detailed. I love that stuff.
Yeah, and like so, how the race is going, that is very similar to rallycross, actually.
Yeah, it's like I mean, last year it looked like a rallycross race on water. Yeah, you can't have contact.
5 or 6 laps. We have a joker lap even. The main difference is the start.
Shout out to grandfather.
Yeah, shout out to. We have to tell that story one day in the podcast here. About how he invented the joker lap. But so there's the joker lap. There's the main difference is the start. We don't just go off a green light. We get a countdown on the dash in front of us.
Okay.
And we are allowed to cross the finish line when it's 0. But we can start way back. So
it's a rolling start.
Yeah. Everybody goes so far back and tries to build up speed before it goes to 0.
Yeah, because you want to touch it at the highest speed at 0, because then obviously you're at optimum speed into turn 1.
Yeah, if you had top speed when crossing the line on 0 seconds, that was the perfect start. And that is very interesting. And even you get dirty water if you're following a boat. So it's like in Formula 1 where they get dirty air. But
is
again,
it even
like
worse then?
7.
Because so it is times 7.
Way worse. Yeah.
Unbelievable.
You really slow down, like the propeller doesn't grip into the water. Like having fresh, clean water ahead of you is key.
I really want to go to the one in Doho.
Yeah, it's gonna be exciting. Like it's so luxurious to be in a boat race because we're always at warm locations and we're always by the sea, and it tends to be. Oh, you did a thumbs up in Riverside there.
Oh yeah, that's good. Everyone
and
on YouTube would see that.
and it's always like a nice paddock with a nice hospitality and everything. So like there's no dirt, there's no dust. You don't come home completely covered in mud.
So you mean that when you wake up on the morning or go to bed in the evening, your nose is not filled with black shit from the racetrack?
Exactly.
Beautiful.
It is beautiful. And it's like you're on holiday, but also you're in a race paddock. It's really nice.
So is there any first of all, is there any technical upgrades on the boats this season? And secondly, what is the teams and drivers like lineups this year?
Yeah, so there is a new propeller, so we get a fourth propeller, and
Whoa.
that's gonna take it's huge. It's huge in the boat world. That's huge, a new propeller. But also we have a new teammate this year. That's gonna be very exciting. So I've been teammates with Katie for 4 years in Extreme E, and also we joined the Team Brazil together. So I can just let's think like it was awesome to be with Katie for a long time. I'm gonna miss her. But yeah, new teammate is Marit Strømøy from Norway, and she's been racing powerboats her whole life. She also grew up with her dad racing powerboats, so very similar to us. And she was the first female Formula One powerboat driver, and she currently has a factory contract with Mercury. You know, Mercury, who builds engines for boats.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's running the first ever 4-stroke engine in the Formula One world. And like, just to say, Formula One boats are absolutely crazy.
Really?
Absolutely insane. So they have top speeds of over 200 kilometers per hour. But that's not the insane thing. The insane thing is the grip. If they have a 90-degree left turn, they do it flat out in 200.
Wow.
They have 7 Gs.
Unbelievable. That's more than F1 then.
Yeah, way more.
How do they not flip?
Well, they do sometimes, and then it gets real bad.
God,
like Eric Stark, the other Swedish E1 pilot, we talk a lot during the races, and he is F1 powerboat world champion also.
Okay.
And he's told me some crazy stories. But one time he told me this story about the time when he crashed in Formula One powerboats, where kind of he got hit by a wave in the back of the boat to make the boat nose pitch down, and he dove into the water nose first.
With 7 times more friction or drag also.
Yeah, from 200 to 0 in 2 meters.
Whoa.
And he had 90 Gs for the accident. It was so much Gs, so that he told me that his helmet cracked, like from ear to ear, like over the head, because like of the force that his head went forward in the boat, and they have the HANS device. But the helmet cracked, and it's designed to do that if it's incredible. Like, so the helmet is designed to break.
Really?
Yeah, over a certain G. Yeah. But we have never heard about that in car racing ever.
No.
But he was like, yeah, it was fine. Like the windshield broke and I got a kind of a cut on my hand. But other than that, it's fine. You know, nothing to complain about.
Underwater, you can drown.
But they are insane, these guys.
They're not afraid of death.
No.
Christ, that must have been just... also, it must have happened so quickly, because going at 200 kph, getting a kick and nose diving straight down must have been...
You know, we have to have him as a guest on this podcast.
Yeah,
because,
that we have to do.
Like, I talk to him a lot, and
he needs
he's
to tell
the
that
coolest
story.
guy. Yeah, I have a lot of respect for him also. He's super fast in the E1 boat too. Really hard to beat. He races for Team Miami. But this year I'm going to beat him.
Yeah, and he's still doing it with the Jet Girl.
Yeah, exactly. Anna Glennon. So they're still teammates. Yeah.
What is the rest of the teams doing?
It's kind of stable. I don't know exactly. We have 2 new teams coming in. which is kind of exciting. So we'll be 10 teams on the start line this
Cool.
year.
Do you know who those teams are? Or?
No, they're not announced yet. Team Brady, so Tom
Yeah.
Brady's team, they won the championship last year. They were incredibly strong. They won 3 or 4 of the
Same
races.
pilots or?
Same pilots for them, yeah. So
did you know he makes more money doing the commentary for NFL now than he did playing NFL?
What?
Yeah, that's how like goat he is.
Yeah, it's like us on the podcast.
Exactly.
It's like money's like no problem anymore since we started this podcast.
Yeah, I still can't get a camera that is getting the coloring right. There we go. That's perfect.
There's perfect. It just looked weird, but
and
no.
Then
So
Steve Aoki is there, and
yeah, yeah.
Other famous people.
I'll forget too many if I start to try this. But yeah, mostly the same teams. And new season, and like last year I came in very much like, I know nothing about powerboat racing, which I didn't. And one of the issues for me was that, like, depending on the state of the water, if it's windy and wavy or no wind and very flat, the boat feels and behaves extremely different. So for me, it was like getting thrown into a completely new situation, having to learn everything from scratch every time I went out on free practice during a race. And then, like, for race day, it will be different weather conditions and having to learn so much on the fly. But that's why I'm excited to have Marit as my teammate now.
Yeah, so much experience.
All her experience. Yeah.
You can, especially about reading waves and winds, and she would know everything. I don't know how old she is, but...
No, I think she started driving powerboats at 1988. I don't know how old she is, but...
So she's driven that longer than you've been alive.
Yeah, exactly.
So she's seen a few waves then.
She's seen a couple of waves. She's felt a couple of propellers. She's fought a couple battles on the water. She's won a lot. Like,
She'll be a perfect teammate.
Yeah, she will be so good to have as my teammate, like learning from her. I can't say exactly what I learned last time out, but she drove the boat because she was our reserve pilot last year.
Yeah.
And she drove the boat, and I noticed, like, hey, you do this thing different. But for her, it was so obvious that you do this thing.
Really?
I can't like...
No, you can't say
like in this podcast about
so many people.
So many people. No, but for her, it was like, yeah, of course you do that. And I was like, no, that makes no sense. I had no clue about this. So, like, I think there will be a lot of things that I get to learn from her that she wouldn't even have thought about explaining to me about racing lines and stuff. For example,
it's like all saying, completely... when do you pull the handbrake?
Yeah. You pull it when it's time.
You pull it when it's time. Yeah.
Imagine mistiming the handbrake like 2 seconds later.
There's like exit of corner, and put it again, and ruin the complete exit.
Yeah.
I mean, those are the things you're learning, a new discipline and a new like driving style. So there's obviously going to be things you have to learn from the complete basic.
Yeah, but that exactly is a very good example, actually. But now at least I have a season of experience there.
Very good.
But it's still a long way for me until I can call myself a proper powerboat racer. But now we go into season 2.
I think you can only be a powerboat racer when you've crashed at 200 kilometers an hour straight down into the water. Then you're a powerboat racer.
Yeah, that's true.
Unbelievable. Can't believe that story.
No, I got to get him as a guest. Yeah, so I'm flying out there, and I'm going to be there for quite a long time because we have preseason testing. I got to do my dunk test. Dunk test is like a part of getting your license. Yeah, so every year you have to repeat where you sit in a closed canopy boat, like with the roof over your head, strapped in, helmet on, everything. And they push you into the water upside down. And then you have to, boats filling up with water, you're hanging upside down, and unbuckle your seatbelts, unplug the radio, and swim out.
And then for people asking, oh, Kev, why are you not doing E1? That is the reason. I do not like water, and dunk test is as far away from my comfort zone, and also it's part of my fears being like underwater. So that's...
Yeah, I got to tell you one more crazy story that happened last time we did the dunk test. So Laia Sanz from Dakar Extreme E. She was with me in my group when we were testing the boat last time, and when we were doing the dunk test together. And when she stepped into the boat, it wasn't a typical racing harness. It was some kind of military thing. There was also 6 points over your shoulders and everything. But the way to loosen the belt was to pull string, which was like fail safe and so perfect, said the military. But what happened to her when she stepped in was that this rope got tangled around her belt, but she didn't notice. And then they pushed her in upside down, and she tried to pull this thing, but it didn't get loose. And what happened, like when you're upside down and the water's flowing in, you don't see clearly because it's all turbulent water and bubbles, and you take this deep breath before you get under. And she was stuck there and like felt, like an eternity, but it was maybe 30 seconds stuck upside down.
I'm holding my breath right now. That's
and the panic started to creep in, and when she finally got out, like they pulled her out. Actually, they pulled the boat in the right side up before they figured out what was wrong with the belt. But she thought she was gonna die there, and like she really said to me, like, I've done the Dakar, I've done everything, I've done motorbikes, crazy stuff, and now I almost died in a swimming pool in Bergamo. Like it was crazy, but like her strength, she said, I'm not a quitter, and I'm gonna do this. So like she went away, she had some time for herself alone. She came back like dead serious, like I'm gonna do it again. So like she stepped back into the boat. This was like half an hour later. Got strapped in again, got pushed in, undid the seat belts, opened the hatch, and swam out.
That's incredible. That's a sick story.
I did it.
Very good.
It was sick. Yeah, that was so impressive. But after that, she was like, "No, I'm not racing here." But she did it. She didn't fail.
Never quit. Keep fighting until the last and get that win. I wish you very good luck. I look forward to speak to you when you're out there and hear all the gossips.
Yeah. Next time I'll be in the hotel room in Jeddah in there, and I'll tell you about how testing has gone.
I will be in Miami still. So
it's lucky we have the podcast, you and me, so we can catch up.
Yeah, I missed your call yesterday. I was barbecuing or something, and it's obviously we're out here obviously just because it's nice, but also there's a big birthday party for Anna and Angela de Ferren that Anna turns 30, Angela turns 60, so they do like a joint 90th birthday party. So it's over 100 people coming to a party on Friday.
Wow!
So looking forward to that. There's so many insane, like, cool people coming. Like Austin Cindric is coming, DC, David Coulthard, me,
Kevin Hansen.
Yeah, exactly.
Biggest of them all.
There is a lot of great people coming, so I'm sure there will be a few secrets to tell from that party.
Awesome. I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, me too. Well, thanks everyone for tuning in for this week's episode. And Timmy, good luck enjoy your flight out there. I hope you're not flying Turkish Airlines. And
flying KLM this time.
Yeah, great. So you can get your points.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a happy man. I'll catch you next week then.
Like the episode if you enjoyed it. Don't forget to subscribe also. That makes a huge difference for us. Thank you for listening. Catch you in a week.